Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're a new subscriber. Now, a lot of my friends have recently graduated from university this year and I've had so many conversations where I've just realised how terrifying it must be to have 3 to 4 years of your life where you're in a safe campus, university. You don't have to really think about the future, you can kind of be present, live in the moment, study. And then suddenly you graduate and you're just thrown into the wilderness of the corporate world where you've got to fend for yourself, find a job, find internships, figure out what you actually want to do in the next stage of your life. So these conversations kind of sparked, amongst other people asking me this question, how they can use LinkedIn to land that dream job that they've always wanted, find a graduate scheme, get a summer internship, or even just make their profile appear more professional and appeal to recruiters and potential interviewers or people who could be hiring or interviewing them in the job finding process. Now, if you've watched some of my earlier videos from this channel, you might think it's pretty ironic that I'm doing a video on how to use LinkedIn for university students, considering that I'm a university dropout and I made it like probably a year through my degree before I realised that I wanted to do my own thing and dropped out. So to give you a little bit of a backspin as to why I'm doing this video and why I think I can teach you something that you might not already know, I actually did a workshop at UCL a couple months back, and when I got asked to do this workshop, it was through like a friend of a friend. I obviously started researching stuff that would apply to students because a lot of my content is geared towards B2B marketers, agency owners, coaches, consultants. So I then sort of dove into the world of LinkedIn for students and for university and for the kind of different flip side to it that I normally look into and I normally teach. So following on from everything that I learned for this workshop, I will put up the footage of that workshop as well on my channel in a couple of weeks' time. But following on from all that stuff, I thought I need to share this content with you guys because I know a lot of my friends, they are just freaking out and it must be so terrifying. I mean, I've kind of done the same thing myself where I've thrown myself into a situation which is building a business and it's so new and you're not really sure where to start. So hopefully this video will give you a couple pointers and I want to run through step by step how you can use LinkedIn to do all the things that I've mentioned. So let's get right into it. Okay, so I wanted to jump inside my laptop to run you through all these slides. Now, there are 4 main sections that I want to cover, and these slides are similar to the ones that I used in my workshop at UCL. So I've cut out a few bits that aren't super relevant, but I will still put up the talk and the workshop for UCL regardless. So there's 4 main sections that I wanted to go through. We have foundations, profile optimization, network building, and lastly, job searching. So I'm gonna run through these slides. Please leave any questions at all that you have in the comments below, or maybe even if I've missed something out that you think you would want me to cover in a future video, I can always create a couple more videos and make a little student series out of this. So if we move on to foundations. Now, these are a couple tips I have when it comes to LinkedIn for any students out there who are watching this video. Firstly, preparation. Now, don't leave LinkedIn till the last minute. Obviously, if you're watching this and you're in your master's year, you've already graduated, don't worry about it. Like, you don't need to throw the idea of LinkedIn completely out the window. But if possible, get LinkedIn in your first year at university. Employers want to see it as an evolving online CV. So your LinkedIn profile can be fluid, which means that it can change and develop, and I guess you can add stuff, take away stuff throughout the years to make it relevant to what you're trying to pursue and the goals that you kind of have when it comes to your LinkedIn profile. Secondly, we have functions. So make sure that your LinkedIn profile is complete. Not only is this great for SEO in terms of your profile ranking, but employers and recruiters are more likely to look at a finished profile, and how recruiters will actually search for people who fit a job description well is through keywords that are included in someone's profile and if they match that to the job description as well. I will cover this later on, so I'm not going to go into too much detail now and get carried away, but make sure that you complete your LinkedIn profile. If you are new to LinkedIn, I will leave a link in the comments down below or the description of the video, and I will leave a link to a video where I audited someone's profile and basically showed through step by step what I did to fully complete it. So you can go ahead and watch that video after this before you move on with the rest. Thirdly, we have experience. So display everything that you are doing. Employers are going to look to see what you do that's over and above what they're looking for. I guess like we've always been told this through school where everyone's like, okay, like you need to do Duke of Edinburgh, do these extracurricular activities because it makes you look like a more well-rounded individual, or do volunteer and charity work, because it's no longer just enough to have a good degree. If you have a good degree, that's awesome, but a lot of other people do as well. So if it's yourself versus 3 other candidates, and say you both have first class degrees from Oxford or Cambridge, say like some of the best universities, Russell Group, any university, and you all have the exact same grade in the same program, do you think that the person with extracurricular activity to show that they have a well-rounded personality is going to be more likely to get that job? Also along interviewing skills as well. It's not all in what you have on paper, but who do you think is more likely going to get accepted onto an interview if they're trying to choose between a couple of people from one university? They're going to probably choose a person that on paper, before they've ever met you, has a more well-rounded approach. And most of the time, interviewers and employers will stalk your LinkedIn profile. It's one of the first things that they look at. So if you don't have one set up, I would highly, highly recommend using this to kind of get your foot in the LinkedIn ladder. Let's move on to the final point. So research, get to understand which groups are on there that you want to be a part of and join them. Start approaching business mentors, people who can help you grow in your career and make contacts. So obviously this is the kind of network side of things, which I will cover later on in this video as well. So those are my 4 top tips. Pause this video if you think you need to go and watch the LinkedIn profile video that I'm going to link down below before moving on to the next section, just to make sure that you kind of like understand the basics, you have a grasp of how LinkedIn works. And I mean, there's so many videos on my profile, so if you are completely new to LinkedIn, maybe go and watch a couple of those, and then you can apply all of the information from this student-specific one on top of your base knowledge. Now, how does LinkedIn work? So there's 4 kinds of people on LinkedIn. So I like to split them into these four different categories. We've got connections, followers, profile browsers, and group members. So a connection, we can see here on the right-hand side that there's this little pyramid of people. So you've got first connections, second connections, and third connections. What this means is, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but a first connection is somebody that you are directly connected with. So similar to Facebook or Instagram. Facebook, you can send a friend request, and when someone accepts you, you become friends. On Instagram, you can request to follow someone or follow them, and if they follow you back, you're now following each other on Instagram. And it's the same principle that we apply to LinkedIn, but on top of this, we also have the second tier and the third tier. So a second connection is, say, it's one person being in between you and third party. So it could be, I have a connection who is connected to somebody else. Their connection is second to me because there's one person in between us, and then you can use third connection to apply the same principle running through. So third connection will show as third plus on LinkedIn, so basically means someone who is pretty loosely connected to you. There's 2 or more people in between you and that person for you guys to be a direct connection, if that makes sense. The second kind of person, the follower, so obviously somebody that follows your content. People normally automatically become a follower that when they connect with you, and then you can choose to unfollow that person if you don't wish to see their activity when it comes to LinkedIn. Someone can also follow you and not connect with you, similar to Facebook pages and also Instagram as well. So they're just interested in following your content. Then we have profile browsers. So you get notifications of this in LinkedIn as well. It's basically somebody who isn't connected to you, they haven't followed you, but they just go to check out your profile. Now they might be scanning it as a recruiter, or it could just be somebody who's looking for services if you're in the B2B space. Obviously this video is geared towards students, so most likely a profile browser would be someone seeing whether you're a good match for a potential role, or whether you fit the requirements, etc., etc. Level number 4, so we've got group members. So you can be on a group member connection level basis. So you don't even have to be connected at all on LinkedIn, but if you're in a group together, you still have a level of connection with that person, so you can still message them. It's also a good way in if you're not connected with somebody yet, but you're in the same group, you can message them or engage with their content within that group, and then it's more likely that you are going to be able to connect with them, so there'll be a lot less resistance. Moving on to point number 2, so we have profile optimization. There's four main components. So number one, we have the vanity URL, the headline, the profile photo, and the summary. If I go onto my LinkedIn profile now, I can show you these different sections. So let's have a look. Vanity URL is this section at the top. Now, in a lot of people's profiles, you'd actually see a bunch of numbers that follow after their username. And to remove this, all you do is go on to Edit, Public Profile and URL. Click on the little pencil, and then automatically, if you haven't already naturally changed this, there will be a bunch of symbols and stuff. So just backspace all of that and then insert the name that you want. Click Save, and this will make your URL look much more professional and neat. And it's also good if you use it as a sign-off, say on an email, or you add your LinkedIn profile URL to other platforms. It looks a lot tidier, and it looks like you've taken a little bit of care to make it look more professional, and that's obviously what employers are generally looking for. So going back to here, headline, profile photo, and summary. So this is all stuff kind of towards the top of the profile. So this is the headline. So owner at Search for Digital. I actually needed to change this. I think I forgot to add in the rest of my headline. But normally in a headline, you would have a bunch of keywords. So for example, if I go and change this now, all you do is click on edit. So I would then go, LinkedIn consultant. I help people in the B2B space. Autopilot using LinkedIn. Save. Also, as students, one of the most important things is also to add your education. I think I've probably mentioned this somewhere down here, but you can actually edit that from here. So you can see I'm connected to Queen Mary University of London. That's where I actually went to university. I can go and edit. I can remove my education if I want to. Sometimes I just leave it on in case old alumni or any students that go to Queen Mary can find me. I might just remove it for now because I don't really think there's a use for me having that anymore. But you can have your education shown. If you want to show it, then you can go and edit it. You can add a new education, search for different universities, degrees, the field of study when you started, grade, etc., etc. This is really good for you if you are looking to get found by a recruiter. So I would recommend that you fill this out. So let me just go back because this isn't very important for me. Save it, and then we have the about section. So this is where a lot of people do make mistakes and they start treating it as an online CV. Now, it's not an online CV. I guess you could look at it in that way, but it is more conversational in the way that you don't have to just list your grades and what you're interested in. You can make it a little bit more fluid. So for example, mine is going to be a different style than what you would want to write as a student. But you want to make sure you include a bunch of keywords, your experience, your field of study, what you're interested in, and what gives you more than just the degree. Like, why do you enjoy what you study? Why are you passionate about it? And what do you want to pursue? Are you looking for a job role? Are you looking for an internship? What are you looking for experience? Write that throughout your about section so that when recruiters or potential people that could be hiring look at your profile, they can kind of have a quick read and get a summary of who you are, what you're like, what you do, and what you're looking for, so they can tell whether you're a match for what they need as well. Obviously, I've written down a note here. So with your summary, focus on keyword SEO along adding rich media. One other point that I wanted to mention is always include your banner, and your profile photo should have your face take up, like this sort of area, take up around 70% plus of the circle. Like if it's too far away or too close up, it can look a little bit funny. And you also want people to be able to see your eyes, because obviously online, you're still just kind of this profile, but who's like the person attached to it. So I think it's good to have a photo where you're showing a little bit of emotion, you can smile, you can see your eyes clearly, and it's against a plain background and you're wearing professional attire. Moving on to this section, so contact information, up-to-date information including email, preferably G Suite. So your contact info is here. If you click on this, you can see my profile URL, different websites for different things. So it could be like a funnel that I'm sending somebody to, my online program, or to book a call with me. And then I have the email that I want people to use, and I can add more emails, more websites, any other sort of links by just going on here and adding stuff below. Let's let's go back here. So if you don't already, update your contact information. It's not essential to have a G Suite account, but when you have a G Suite, it basically means that instead of having Natasha Vilaseca at Gmail or Natasha at Yahoo, you can have it at a different domain kind of thing. So if you wanted to do it at your own name or at your business or at your company, etc., you can do that with a G Suite account. And it also comes along with all the extra features like Drive, etc. I mean, I should have an affiliate link for G Suite with the amount that I speak about it, but you get all the other features that come along with G Suite, and it's super cheap, so there's not really a reason that would hold you back from just getting it, because it just looks more professional. What is the next section? So experience. Complete the experience section to ensure that it's up to date, and remember to highlight skills that were required for each position. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Obviously, it's going to be different for everybody out there. But if you scroll down, you'll see the experience section. So you can add different companies that you've worked for, different logos, have descriptions. So for example, if you're adding internships or job roles that you've done, you can go ahead and add an experience. Fill in the title, the employment type, so what kind of placement or job it was. The company that you worked for, so if I search it, it would let me select the actual company to associate myself with that company. So I could choose a different company to associate myself with, the location, whether you're currently working there. If you're not, then obviously you can do a start date and an end date. And then the description, you want to include keywords as much as you can here. If you don't understand what I mean by keywords, it's basically words that would help a recruiter find you. So for example, if you're in, let me think, retail, and you worked at Topshop for a year, for example, you could do a description and you could include words like customer service, fashion retail, etc., etc. throughout your description, if that is the kind of thing that is relevant to you now. I wouldn't recommend adding all of your experience if there's a bunch of stuff that isn't relevant, like if you did something that you can't make applicable, because even, for example, if you're going into a job which is in STEM, so like science, tech, maths, etc., working at Cafe Nero, if you can still spin it in a way that it helps in terms of being able to interact with people, if it's to do with a certain job that you're applying for and there's a skill that you think would be useful, and it's good to show that you're an all-rounded individual and that you can work under time pressure, you're good at management, you did that job whilst you were at university, etc., then add it there. But if you've had 10 different jobs that are pretty similar, you don't need to include them all in your experience section, so try and select the ones that are going to help you the most. So after you've added this, all you have to do is click save, and it will add to your experience section down below. Moving on to the fourth point, so skills, endorsements, and recommendations. This helps so much with SEO ranking and also improves your social proof. So it makes you look good when other people visit your profile. You need to approach the relevant person from each business you have in your experience for a recommendation. Try and aim for 5+. So we can see over here in my profile, if I scroll down, I've got skills and endorsements. So endorsements it's kind of like a like on Facebook or a like on Instagram, where I can add skills and people can like it to say, yes, Natasha is good at LinkedIn, she's good at consulting, she's good at lead generation, and all these other skills that I've mentioned down below. This is also good for SEO. You've got a maximum of 50 skills you can add here. Try and fill out as many as possible. Don't worry if you can't add everything. Like, don't add random ones that aren't even relevant, because then there's just no point. It's not going to really help you get in front of the right people. And then if we go down to recommendations, you can see people basically can write recommendations to you and vouch for the fact that you're good at what you do. For someone to give you a recommendation, all you need to do is, for example, if I went over to Ali's profile, I could click on more, and then I could say recommend, and then you just fill out the relationship, the position, click on next, how you worked together, and then I could write out a recommendation for Ali. It gets sent to his inbox and then he just has to approve it, and vice versa. I can always request one from somebody else. Obviously, it's always best to message the person prior to ask them if they would be okay to give you a recommendation in the first place. And obviously, if you can give one vice versa, then you can always offer that, and it kind of helps in terms of the act of reciprocity. Let me just go back off here. Okay, moving on to the next section. So now we have this. So these are kind of notes on the first point that I've mentioned. I've mentioned a lot of this stuff already, so if you want to take a screenshot, these are a bunch of things that are good for you to just have to keep. So you can take a screenshot, maybe print them out, and then when you're building your profile, you can kind of refer back to this stuff. So for example, up here, I've given you a little formula, which is what I give to my clients to come up with a unique headline. So it's usually the job title plus function and then the USP. This is, you're going to know better than me what it is going to be for you. I've got a bunch of notes on summaries. So you've got 2,000 character limit, creating a balance between professional and personal attributes, career highlights, inserting keywords appropriately, and then having a CTA at the end. So this could be getting somebody to email you if they have a potential position that could match you, or getting them to message you directly on LinkedIn, or sending them to a website or to a different link. On the right hand side, we also have the limits for characters throughout your profile. So the recommendations, skills, endorsements, skills, top skills like the pinned ones. A post that you put on LinkedIn, you've got a max 1,300 character limit. In-mails, which are messages sent to somebody who you're not yet connected with, so you have a max in-mail limit. If you're on the free version, you'll have a lower amount of in-mails you can send compared to a paid premium version of LinkedIn. And then the invitation to connect, which is a 300 limit characters. Let's move on to the next section. So in terms of contact information and experience, as I said, I've already covered this stuff, so I'm going to let you take a screenshot of this stuff as reminders. Skills and endorsements, recommendations, we've covered this as well. And then this LinkedIn audit. So I would pause the video here if you already have a LinkedIn profile and you think it's pretty good, you've already put a little bit of time into doing it. Pause this, take a screenshot again, and compare it to your profile. So these are a bunch of questions that you can ask yourself to see whether your profile is up to scratch. So do you have a profile? If you don't, this is the perfect opportunity for you to go and create one. Do you have 500 plus connections? This just makes it look more professional, because if 500 people have said yes to connecting with you, they kind of know you're normal and they're more likely to connect with you as well. Secondly, it also just helps in general SEO, because LinkedIn recognizes that you're an active user and that you have a completed profile. 3, do you have a professional photo? Do you have a banner? Do you have a customer-centric headline? Do you have your contact information filled out? Do you have the maximum of 50 skills and endorsements? As I said before, if you don't have the maximum, do not worry. Do you have 5 to 10 recommendations? Having a summary written in the first person. This is also another thing I forgot to mention. So it really bugs me when people write their summaries in the third person, because like, you're writing it about yourself. It's not someone writing a novel on you. It's meant to be you being you. And I think when people write the summary in the third person, it just feels a little bit disconnected. And when people look at your profile, they want to know who you are, what makes you interesting, and what makes you interested in the subject or the topic that you want to study or the field that you want to work in. Moving on, so I don't rant about that, but if you don't have it written in first person, it is personal preference. Some people just prefer having it in third, which is absolutely fine. I just think it feels and it reads a lot better in the first. Do you have rich media in your summary? So for example, you could add your CV to your summary. So for example, if I go back to my profile over here, I can add rich media. So you can see this is all my media in my summary. So if I go on see more, you can see all of this down here. I can edit this. I can upload, so you can do external documents, photos, sites, videos, and presentations. So obviously as a student, you could upload either your CV, a case study, or some sort of anything like presentations, videos, stuff that showcases your work, or you can just post links and it'll give you a little like preview that how it will show up on your profile. And then we have, are you posting thought leadership content daily? So I guess if you're looking for work, you want to show that you understand your field, and you don't have to technically or necessarily be an expert at what you do, but it's good to keep posting content on LinkedIn so that people, when you start growing your network and building it, your connections are still being made aware of you and you're generating that top of mind awareness. This is probably more important for me where LinkedIn is my business, or when I'm a B2B marketer, because I'm looking for clients and I'm trying to raise that awareness with my network because I filled it with people that are potential clients for me. If you're job hunting, it might not be as essential, but I think it's still good to have a little bit of content out there. And it also, like, I guess if you're a writer, if you're studying English, or you want to go into something where you need to be fluent in the way that you communicate, this is also a way to show it off indirectly. Moving on, so remember to add awards and volunteer experience, etc. When recruiters look at your profile, they are going to look through it as an online CV. Alongside your headline, summary, and education, they'll be looking for things that add to your entire character. So, adding volunteer experience, groups you're a part of, and any awards are a really good way to set yourself apart from other competing graduates. I know I've mentioned this, but it's one of those simple things that you just have to put a bit of time into creating this, and it's honestly going to serve you so well. And it could be like the difference between you landing your dream job and not being found, even though you're more than qualified. And if you got to the interview process, you know you'd actually be able to land and be a really good fit. So you want to give yourself the best chance and the highest level of exposure as you possibly can to these recruiters and employers that are searching for someone like you. Do's and don'ts. So these are some basic things. They might seem pretty obvious, but you'd be surprised the amount of people that do this mistake. So in terms of do, make sure you have a professional profile photo and banner. Make sure you've included your contact information. Keep your experience up to date. So maybe every quarter, so every 3 months, every 3 or 4 months, however often you think you would, even twice a year, just go into your LinkedIn profile and make sure that you've added any more new relevant experience to your profile. Thank connections for sharing, liking, and commenting any of your content. So it just is, it's polite, and you never know where opportunities could come from. So whether it looks like it's somebody that would be hiring, you just don't know. So you might as well, just expose yourself to as many opportunities as possible. In terms of the flip side, so when it comes to things that you shouldn't do, don't overuse keywords. So keywords are so important, but I don't mean shove a bunch of keywords into random places, into sentences where it doesn't actually read correctly. Use them in places where it works, and a good way to use a lot of keywords is by stacking them in your profile. So for example, with me, I've put we specialize in terms of my agency, and I've been able to do a list of things I specialize in. So you could rethink of a way to do that and apply it if you're a student. Don't ask strangers for recommendations. I get this all the time where someone will send me a recommendation, but hey, can you do one for me? And if I've never worked with them before and I don't really know anything about them, what am I going to say? Because it's going to be a lie. Because I can't say, oh, this person helped me do this, if I've never spoken to them in my life. So don't ask random people for recommendations, because it's just not going to come off very well, and it's just going to look a bit sketchy. And I would prefer to have 5 real recommendations on my profile than 50 from people that barely know me, because you never know what employers or recruiters are going to reach out to those people and be like, hey, I noticed you've given a recommendation to Natasha or to whoever whatever your name is, and that person's gonna be like, yeah, like don't really know her that well, but like she's great, kind of thing. It's just not gonna look very professional. So don't ask strangers. Don't attempt to sell something on your profile. This is more relevant for B2B and like sales divisions. And then don't post irrelevant or professional content. So people don't care about what you ate for breakfast and what your dog looks like on LinkedIn. Like, it might be great content for Instagram or Facebook, but you can't apply the same principles to LinkedIn. So try and just make sure that you keep everything professional and relevant to your network and your industry. Moving on. So these are action steps. So take a pause here and work through these 4 points. So write out a headline for yourself. As you can see with the example that I have here, seeking marketing internship. This is a good trick just because with headlines, it's the first thing that someone's going to see before they even go onto your profile. So if you are looking for a marketing internship or a work placement within a certain industry, putting this in your headline is a good way to get recruiters' attention. Step number 2 is claim your vanity URL. 3 is write out 10 keywords to add as skills, and then also you can use these same keywords throughout your profile and your about section and your experience descriptions, etc., etc. 4th, reach out to 3 people for recommendations. So just send 3 basic messages in a polite way asking for a recommendation, and the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to get a no. Moving on to network building. So the basics of network building. Reaching 500 plus connections as soon as possible without spamming, because there's just no point. It's the same on Instagram. If you build a follower base of 100k followers and they're all completely random people, and say you're in the fitness space and you're trying to sell bands for the gym, and I've got a bunch of people that hate an active lifestyle, but I've just spam followed random people or ran like an ad or something, I'm not gonna be able to monetize them, and then they're gonna drop off over time. So with your LinkedIn, it's better to be Slow and steady wins the race. Obviously, you want to hit that 500 as soon as you can, but try and keep it targeted to a certain network of people. Secondly, personalize your connection requests for a higher acceptance rate. Thirdly, following up with people. Fourth, set a daily target of people to request to connect with. It's just a good way to hold yourself accountable. Fifth, post often. As I've said, this will depend on your industry, so don't worry too much if posting isn't your thing and you're freaking out and you're like, Natasha, I'm not a good writer and I'm scared, I don't want to do it. Don't worry. Like, the most important thing is that you have a profile and that it is well sort of built out. And with all the stuff in this video, you will have an incredible profile. Do not worry, it's going to be more than good enough over what most people do. So, like, with the extra side bits, don't worry too much if you don't think it's relevant to you. Next, we have engaging with existing connections. If they share your content, it exposes it to their entire network. So this also depends on what you're looking for, but if you are liking, commenting on other people's posts and sharing it, they're more likely to reciprocate the same thing to you. So if that's something that could help you, then use the act of reciprocity. Lastly, we have promote your LinkedIn URL on other channels, and you can also add it to your email signature. So this is great. Like, if you're going back and forth with an interviewer, or you're reaching out to an assistant or a manager, or trying to get a job from somebody, have your LinkedIn URL as part of your signature, and you can do this within your email settings. You can configure your settings on like Gmail, for example, and add your signature. So it would be like your name. For some people, it's like the company that they work for or their job title, and you can add your LinkedIn URL so that when people receive an email from you, they don't even have to search your name. They can just click on it and go and see your amazing LinkedIn profile. Next, we have some examples. So this is, I just want to run through a couple things that are important to note. So if we start from the left and move over to the right, connection requests. Don't use the default invitation, I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. This, honestly, I can't deal with it. I guess I'm probably a bit too passionate about LinkedIn, but I feel a little bit sick when people use this, because I'm just like, it just looks lazy. Like, it's so lazy. And all you have to do to show someone that you care is do a little bit of profile research. Head on over to their profile, see if you have something in common. Maybe you went to the same university, maybe you studied the same program, maybe you live in the same area or location, you share groups together, you have similar interests or skills. There's so much you can do, and you don't have to write a whole paragraph about how much you love this person, you want to connect with them. Just something, and like at least using their name and why you'd like to connect, just gives that little bit of LinkedIn etiquette. Moving on to the next part, so joining groups. Identify groups which are likely to contain industry leaders, people in hiring positions, decision makers. Engage and post in these groups. So find groups that are relevant to you, have a look at the people posting inside them, and then if you are posting content to your main feed onto your profile, you could also post the same content into a group and just expose yourself to more and more people that you're not even connected with, because more eyeballs is just more chance that you're going to get noticed by the right person. Next, we have ask for an introduction. So once you have identified target companies, you can connect with people within the organization, reach out to any first connections you already have, and ask for an introduction. So, for example, what I mean by this is if you've identified a target company, if you have Sales Navigator, it will show you what connections you have that could introduce you to somebody else. If you find a company and you identify someone in a decision-making position and you're not connected to them, but you have a connection in common, you can go to that person and ask them for an introduction. Lastly, we have alumni. So conduct a search for other alumni who went to your university. It's a great conversation starter when you reach out, and they may be able to help you land an internship or job at their current company. So people that have graduated from the same uni as you, people that have graduated from the same program, maybe you're working in a company where you'd love to get some experience. You've got a great starting point for conversation, and see if you can sort of add value in return to them as well. Now we have job searching. So how to do a job search. I'll talk you through this slide, and then I'll actually hop onto LinkedIn just to show you the basics. Firstly, we have searching for people who work in companies where you would like to work and apply for an internship. Second, we have use the LinkedIn search and filter by jobs, refine by industry, job title, geography, and company. You can also refine results by the job type, whether full-time, part-time, internship, etc., which I will show you in a second. Thirdly, we can actually set up job alerts to receive notifications. So for example, if you're looking for a specific job, you can save your preferences, and then when new jobs come in that match your preferences, you will receive notifications via email or notifications on LinkedIn saying that this job's come up, you might be interested in applying for it. Then lastly, we have either use Easy Apply through LinkedIn or select Apply to be redirected to the website or application page. Not all job postings have the Easy Apply option, but the Easy Apply is basically where it basically just sends them your LinkedIn CV, your LinkedIn profile as the application. You can just attach your CV and it does it through LinkedIn instead of having to go to an external website and then filling out that application form. So let's go on to LinkedIn. If we start from the homepage, all we need to do a job search is go up here and you'll immediately see a drop down which says people, jobs, content, companies, schools, groups. Click onto jobs. And then we can search for jobs. So we can, for example, if I wanted to do, let's have a look at marketing assistant. So we have 7,454 results for a marketing assistant. This is just in the United Kingdom. Now, instead of just, obviously you've got like all these different features here. So if you want to do date posted, if it's been super fresh, you can do that. If you want them to be easy apply, you can do that. Less competition, so if there's fewer people that have applied. Company, experience level, so for example, internships, I could turn this on, click apply, and then I have 291 results for a marketing assistant internship based in the UK. And then I can just go on all filters up here, which I think is a lot easier. So for example, I could, for example, let's do the past week. All the internships probably going to be kind of low. Let's remove this for a second. So marketing assistant jobs that have been posted in the last week, let's say that they are full-time positions based in London. Let's see if we actually have any results for this. Marketing and advertising, and then you've got all of this different stuff down here. Apply. 193 results. If I wanted to add something else, let's make this even smaller. So I could go on to, let's have a look. Let's do entry level. Apply. 138. So we can now look through all of these different jobs. We can save them if we want to, and then you can see your saved jobs. So I could open this in a new tab and have a look at all the new, this is from so long ago. You can look at all the saved jobs that you have here. So let me just close these off. All the saved jobs, this has easy apply, so I'll show you what that looks like. So easy apply, you literally have your email address, your phone, upload the resume, it submits the application to them, and they can instantly just see your LinkedIn profile, etc., etc. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you, because this is all pretty straightforward, you can do the job alerts. So for example, job alerts, I could turn it on for this. So for each search that I do, I can create a search alert, which will show me all the current jobs that match everything that I've added in terms of these filters. If I change any of these, it's going to be a new search, and then I can just turn that on. So I can have alerts daily or weekly and get notified. I can choose whether it's just via email, just via notifications, or email and notifications. Save that, so I'm not going to do that because I don't want to get these job alerts. That's basically how all this works, and you can clear it out and you can do something else again. There's literally so many different ways that you can play around with this. So I would recommend maybe having a look through all of it if there's a specific company that you want to work for. So for example, if we have a look at let's have a look at Goldman Sachs. Let's do Goldman Sachs. Let's see if they have any internships available in London. Apply. No? Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so we have one. So I guess Let's have a look. I've also, so for example, with this, if I have 6 connections at work here, I could always reach out to these people and be like, hey, when you applied for Goldman Sachs, is there anything specific that you included in your CV that impressed them, or any like interview tips that you have? I'm actually about to apply on LinkedIn, so any advice that you could share with me would be super, super useful. And I am sure that they would be more, people would definitely get back to you if they saw the message, just because they'd be happy to help. And then you can also just, for example, like I could save this and go back to apply for it if I want to. So this is kind of how you use the job search feature on LinkedIn. Let's see what else we have through here. So in terms of how to get noticed by recruiters, I know I mentioned at the start, but keywords are just the key when it comes to recruiters finding you, because they are going to look in a job description. They are going to basically use a search where they look for loads of matching profiles that contain all the keywords that closely match with their job description. So in terms of how to get noticed with keywords, study relevant job descriptions, identify the hard skills and terminology that is most consistent across job descriptions, then work applicable terms throughout your LinkedIn profile, your headline, your summary, your work experience, your listed skills. On the right-hand side, turn on open to opportunities. So go to career interests in your settings and toggle on let recruiters know you're open. Then complete the career interest section. So let's have a look if I can remember where to find this. So let's go home. Let's see if I can go onto settings and privacy. Job seeking preferences. Let recruiters know you're open to opportunities. So if I turn this on, it basically it shows my profile as I am looking for opportunities, so it invites recruiters to connect with me. I can turn this off, and then I can also do this. So I can upload my CV. So this is for the easy apply section, where basically I can have my contact information saved, my phone number, upload my resume, and then when I go on to easy apply within the job search feature, this is already kind of done for me. So it's super, super quick. I would recommend though having a cover letter if possible, or if you maybe need to tweak your CV for different job applications, if it's something that is more specific and you think you need to impress them a little bit more. So that's kind of how you do this section. Optimizing your profile. So have a headline showcasing what you do and your experience. A lot of recruiters will firstly look at this and then add to your skill section. Lastly, building your network. So joining groups, following companies to keep up to date with them. Like if you follow a company and you see all these new updates, it's going to be good topic of conversation when you go into that interview and you've got stuff to talk about to show that you're on the ball, you're interested not just in the industry but also the company culture, how they work and what's trending within their sphere. Connecting with key players, decision makers in your target companies to be kept up to date with industry movements. So I think that is everything. This is the last stuff, and then I think we're pretty much wrapped up. So in terms of discrepancies, so recruiters often look at profiles to confirm information about a candidate. Make sure your dates of employment, job titles, or other facts are the same as on your resume, because this is an easy way to get tripped up. Like a lot of people have a LinkedIn profile, they leave it there and it's kind of stagnant. They apply for a job and on their CV it says they've got these incredible grades and all this work experience, and someone could easily just do a search, and everything on the internet is so public nowadays. They could easily do a search, look at your LinkedIn profile and be like, well, this person's lack of attention to detail is not an attribute that we're looking for this job position. And they are going to look at stuff like that. Even if it doesn't mean you'd be bad at the job, it's just the attention to detail and like actually caring about your appearance online and making sure everything is streamlined and kept professional. Second, jargon. So these are basically just things that just don't make sense. So avoid jargon, be to the point and include keywords. Make your job title or what you do clear so they don't have to figure out what you do. So don't try and make yourself sound super smart by adding in a bunch of random words. Keep it simple, keep it to the point, and keep it relevant. Thirdly, we have the summary. So no one has time for a dense summary. Try and highlight what is in it for recruiters to contact you, such as your achievements, your success stories, etc. Use blocks of short copy and bullet points to break down the text into manageable sections. A lot of recruiters or people that are hiring, they don't have time to read essays on your personality. They want to just be able to look at your profile, scan through it, and get a gist of who you are as an all-rounded individual. Lastly, we have being active. So during your job search, maintain an active profile by sharing, posting, liking, and commenting on content. It shows level of engagement and keeps you top of mind with your audience. So that is, I think I forgot to breathe through all of that last section. That is everything that I wanted to cover. I really do hope that you found this presentation useful, and I'm going to jump back out of my computer now. So that's everything that I wanted to cover in this video. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed it, if you found it valuable, and if you have any future video requests. As always, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It does help my channel grow, and it also helps my content get out to more and more people. So that's everything. If you made it this far, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.